All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Meditation and Spiritual Practice. We can see that very clearly from my background, the season that's coming, 2 weeks away, is Passover. And since we had already started before, as we were chit-chatting about food, I think it's very relevant to talk about matzah here. And because as we know, like all of the foods on the Seder table, especially on the Seder plate, all of them are symbolic. They all correspond to different layers of values, the story, inner awareness. And matzah is an interesting one because in the Haggadah and in the story of the Exodus, matzah plays two roles, right? On one, it is considered, as we open up the Seder, we say, halach ma'anya, this is the bread of affliction, right? And it's also called lechem oni, or a poor person's bread. Definitely in Egypt during that time, bread that rose was a luxury. It was rich. It had other things in it besides just flour and water. It had time. It had a space for it to cook. It was all of those things, and it was those things that slaves did not have. So on one hand, matzah is lechem oni, poor person's bread. It's it's the bread of slavery. It's the bread of not having very much. Um, and that is a part of what we tap into, especially in the first part of the Seder, when we break the middle matzah before we begin the story in the Yachat step. We're, and that's right before Halach Ma'anya, we're connecting to matzah as, as that place um, of not, of lacking in some way, of being deficient in some way. Whereas at the last part of matzah of the Seder, when we are saying the blessings before the meal, matzah is lechem cherut, or the bread of freedom, right? It's the bread that now tunes into that place in the story where the Israelites are on their way out of slavery. They've broken off the shackles of Pharaoh, and they're headed out of Egypt. And that matzah, of course, and we hear it in the text, it didn't have time to rise, and they took this with them. So now matzah shifts from being something that is about deficient, being poor, and now is something that is about freedom, is about liberation, is about openness. And in fact, when we eat the first bit of matzah at the Seder, after we say the hamotzi and the blessing, and there's some halacha, some Jewish law that you're supposed to really spend that time eating the matzah in silence, just feeling it. We're asked to tune into both aspects of the matzah, both the aspects of the matzah that is kind of recreating in some way that experience of being a poor person, and at the same time eating that matzah to note how free we are and how it's that piece. So the symbol has those dual sides. And this where this goes in our tradition, very elaborated in our Hasidic tradition, is that matzah is the symbol of humility, right? Matzah is the symbol of humility. That on one hand, humility is the awareness that who I am and what I think is only a small, 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 small part of the bigger picture. It is one that acknowledges, humility acknowledges that I am part of a infinite web of connection and depth that can I can only begin to understand. In the same way that it's like I look out at an ocean and I take a spoonful of the ocean. That's kind of what my relationship to the world is from a place of humility. It's one that says, there is so much more. I can get a scoop right here, but I have to be aware that this scoop that I'm taking is just that, is just a scoop, right? And that's the place of matzah. And that's the place of kind of putting a little bit of a positive spin on that lechem oni, that poor person's bread. It's a bread that acknowledges, I don't have the answers. I don't know what's going on. I'm moving through just with what's in front of me and doing my best to respond, to serve in a way that's going to bring goodness. What's the opposite of that, right? The opposite of that, where we take something like bread, which is a staple, symbolically in our tradition, right? Bread is what makes a meal. We say hamotzi, the hamotzi blessing over something that has bread, because it is about fullness. It's about life. It's about sustenance. Bread is something that's very positive every other day of the year besides Passover. But on Passover, bread is chametz. It is that which is expanded, fermented. It's the opposite of humility. It's being puffed up. It's feeling that I have the answers, that I know what's happening, that how I see people and the labels that I give to them is who they are. That is chametz. It's saying that my reality is what is true for everyone, or for the situation. How I see it, that's how it is. So that becomes really, when we approach Passover, that cleaning out of chametz, right? That physical ritual that we have before the holiday of going through our cupboards, going through everything, finding anything that has anything with the 5 grains: wheat, oat, barley, spelt, or rye, wheat, oats, barley, spelt, or rye, anything with those, even the smallest amount, even a crumb, we clean out. We clean out. And yes, on one level, it's spring cleaning, it's newness, it's all of this. But on a spiritual level, we're bringing our intention to say, all those ways in which I get so attached to my version of things, and how much I know, and whatever it is, I'm gonna clean that out. I want to be like matzah this Passover. I want to step into my life and to each moment from a place of humility, of being able to realize that I'm a part of something much greater, and that there's so much depth. And if I approach every moment with that attitude of not knowing but curiosity, the way that I approach people in my life, I allow them to be a whole world beyond my label of them. I'm a better listener. I'm more willingness to get to know, to ask questions. When there's a situation that is around me, whatever it is, I can analyze it, I can think about it, but I also am open to other people's perspectives, to not necessarily having the answer, to be willing to experiment. All of that kind of attitude. Oh, okay, that was not. Let's see. There we go. Ellen Slatkin, you by accident screen shared, so just be a little aware of that. So that's really this place of matzah, and the idea of freedom. So much about Pesach is about, what does it mean to be free on all of these different levels. And we definitely talk about freedom in Passover of not just on the individual sense, but as a society, as a community, and certainly thinking about the lechem oni, the bread of affliction, and poor man's bread as a way to tune us in empathetically to people around us that don't have enough. And it's for sure a custom to invite people to our seders especially who don't have one. Um, and that it's that awareness that freedom is something that involves all of us and that we all have what we need. But on a personal, individualistic level, we're saying that this teaching is saying that humility is a key to freedom. Because if you think about it, what is it that keeps us trapped in our own limited perspective of things? In Mitzrayim, the word for Egypt, Mitzrayim, we've talked about, means narrow place. So that's also a narrow way of looking at things. What is the thing that traps us? It's being attached to our limited perspective as being right, as being more important, as being whatever it is. We don't see beyond our perspective because we hang to it. And so humility says, I'm willing to open up and say, yes, I may have my perspective. Yes, I may see myself in the world this way, but there's so much more that's possible. Let me be open. And that is the key to freedom. That is how we transcend our limited perspective to something greater. So that's what we're going to practice this morning, is how to really practice humility. Again, as not something that's about saying, I'm not good, I'm bad, I'm defective, but instead to say, I'm only a small part of a very deep and great reality. So go ahead and find a comfortable position that you can sit in for a period of time without moving around too much. Close your eyes. We'll begin with a melody, a nigun. And this is also Rosh Chodesh, Nisan. It's the new month of Nisan, which is also the Jewish New Year, according to the Torah. The Jewish New Year does not happen in the fall, according to the Torah. The seventh month, the time that we usually think about as Rosh Hashanah, is really only called in the Torah the day of the blowing of the shofar. Instead, the real New Year is today. So Happy New Year, everybody. That sense of newness beginning is, I'm going to share with us a melody that comes from Jerusalem. I'm not sure exactly who wrote it, but I know that it originated in Jerusalem. And it's a melody that's used for one of the 7 wedding blessings. And I'm just thinking how beautiful to start out renewal and newness with spring with the same melody that's used to start out the beginning of a couple's life together, of intimacy, of connection. And that's another theme of Passover and the New Year, which is we read the Song of Songs on Passover, which is about love and connection and intimacy. So as we begin this new month and this new year, the invitation is to think about a renewal of new possibility, intimacy with our lives. Just try that first part wherever you are. Yai dai dai dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai dai dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Dai 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 dai. Dai 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 dai. Dai 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 dai. Dai 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 dai. Diddy die die die. Diddy die 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 die. Die 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 die. Last time. Die 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 die. Die 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 die. Die 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 die. Die 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 die. Die 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 die. Die 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 die. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai dai. Diddy dai dai dai. Diddy dai 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 dai. Diddy dai dai dai. Diddy dai dai dai. Diddy dai dai dai. Diddy dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai dai. So let yourself just settle in to your body, becoming aware of the space that your body inhabits, the contact of your bottom and the chair, the place where the bottom of your feet meet the floor, the length of your legs as they come out of your ankles, up through your knees to your hips, becoming aware of the length of your spine from the bottom of your hips to the top of your neck and the resting place of your head on your shoulders, the way your arms hang out of your shoulder sockets, the resting place of your hands. See if your awareness, your attention can be soft enough and open and wide enough that you can be aware of all the sensations of your body in space in this moment. The air as it touches your face, that you really sense yourself as a full integrated unit. And at the same time that you pay attention to the sensations in your body and the shape of your body, become aware of the movement of breath, noticing where air enters the nostrils or the mouth. Notice the expanse of the body to make room for the inhale. Notice that moment where the inhale reaches its maximum length and then switches over to an exhale, following the body's contraction as the air leaves. And then noticing that moment where the exhale reaches its maximum length, switching over to an inhale. There's nothing that we have to do in this moment. We don't breathe differently. We don't need to move. We just need to pay attention to what is happening effortlessly in this moment. And the breath can be an anchor of our attention by making sure that we are following that movement of inhale and exhale and all the accompanied sensations that go along with it. Awareness of breath roots us in this present moment. And at the same time that we're present with breath, consider that everything we are aware of that unfolds moment to moment in our experience is only the tip of the iceberg. It's only the surface of the depth of what is taking place right now. That just like on a physical level, we can experience sensation, but really difficult to feel into the inner workings of each cell that is present in each one of our bodily systems with a depth of intelligence of exactly how it needs to behave, what it needs to do. It's only something we can learn about with our minds from the outside, but experientially, as we tune into the experience of this moment, we know that there is so much more going on physically than we're aware of. And at the same time that we pay attention to the expanding and contracting of the body with the breath, we also are aware that everything we're experiencing is also an expression of energy, that there is a depth of dimension, consciousness that is not just physical. That the mind of God, the deep source of life, is present in everything in our moment to moment experience. What is it like to sit in this moment? Being open to that possibility that the infinite depth of God is deeply present in every part of our experience. That's a posture of humility. That's the experience of Matzah. Who I am, what I perceive, is what it is, but there is so much more. Well, I'm going to be quiet for a period of time, and the invitation is to stay present with the unfolding of the moment, with the movement of breath, the sensations in the body, the sounds around us, being open to all of it and attentive to all of it, rooted in the breath, and to sit with a posture of openness, of knowing that there is so much more, and that the One, the Holy One, is here. Almost as if we are in the Mishkan, the sacred temple, in which you want to be so quiet, so attentive to feel and be with the palpable presence that is the source of all of us. Staying present with breath and with body. It's a practice to just return over and over again to being aware of that movement of breath, the body sensations that accompany that expansion and contraction from head to toe, and the awareness that there is so much more to our experience in this moment than we perceive. You find your mind wandering, just keep coming back over and over again to that intention of focusing our attention. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai dai dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai dai. Diddy dai dai dai. Diddy dai 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 dai. Yada dai dai dai. Yada dai dai dai. Yada dai dai dai. Yada dai dai dai. Yai dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Dai dai dai. So before we just open up to any questions or comments, I just want to remind us, or maybe it's new for some people, to say that our purpose in meditation is not to have a certain kind of experience. So while being able to practice being present and practice humility may lead to deeper awareness in the meditation than we would usually have, it's not really the point. Really, the point from a Jewish perspective is how to live our lives in the presence of God, or how to live our lives with a deeper awareness of ourselves and the world around us. But it's specifically about living our lives from a particular perspective that is only possible when we have cultivated certain dispositions and um, certain awarenesses as part of who we are. So what we're doing in meditation is it's practice. And in this case, it's about practicing humility, right? Just to be in a very focused place where we might close our eyes, where we don't have distractions, and practice being with our moment-to-moment experience with an awareness that there is so much more than what we're experiencing here. To to hold a posture of saying, I'm really open. I'm not thinking that what I'm experiencing now is all there is, right? So I'm practicing that in this space so that that will begin to translate into my life, so that I'll begin to have a habits or posture of humility, of being able to be in situations where there's always greater depth, there's always another perspective. I can have my own and have my own thoughts, but I hold it lightly because I know that it's limited. I know that it has a certain aspect of Mitzrayim, of narrowness to it. And so that's what I'm practicing in freedom. So that's really all, whatever it is that we practice in meditation, not about having an experience, instead about practicing who we want to be. Okay, let's open up. Any thoughts or comments or questions? And so great to see a lot of faces that I don't always get to see on Tuesday mornings.
I don't know if I have a question, but I just have a comment. I always find, I mean, I've only done a couple of these, but the kinds I have, I just find that you really cut to the heart of something extremely important and resonant for me. So just thank you for this time and opportunity to tune in. It's so helpful right now. I feel like as a young mom, or as a new mom, rather, not a young mom, that the world sometimes gets very myopic and focused on this awesome little soul. And I have been craving a little bit of a widening of the aperture. So just thank you very much.
Yes, yes, beautiful. That's a beautiful piece to continue to hold, that moment of parenting as we're like coming into Pesach, and what are the ways in which we start to feel constricted, that it doesn't have to be that way, right? That our situation on the outside does not have to be that kind of limiting experience. But it is a practice to continue to over and over again say, what's more here? What can I open to? Thank you, Stephanie.
When I meditate, I usually, as thoughts pop up, I imagine that the thoughts are the stream, and I would try to be like a rock in the stream that the thoughts are running over. And today, as thoughts were popping up, which many of them were, and I think because of the language of popping up and talking about things rising, I tried to be like the breadstone. And the thoughts were, the yeast rising up, and I tried to be like, come back to the flat matzah, like the rabbis poking making sure it doesn't rise.
I love it. I love it. That's wonderful. Yeah. And again, like that, so much of it is about, and the way that you said it was perfect, Sarah, but when thoughts that come up, I want to really encourage all of us to think that those are not, they don't need to be distractions, right? They're not like not the point. It's not that we don't want thoughts to come up. Thoughts are part of our ongoing unfolding, our ongoing creative unfolding. They happen that way. And yet it's that awareness of being the breadstone. I love that. That's the kind of root, continuing to stay present with all aspects of our experience, which aren't just the thoughts, their breath, their body, they're all of these things that allow us an opportunity for greater awareness and depth in the moment, not just not getting identified with a particular thought. Yes, I saw that Ilana just came in. Yes. So it really is, the issue isn't about thoughts coming up or not. It's about letting the thoughts rise and pop and come down. Is letting that not be something that captivates our attention, where we hold on to it or we get lost in it. But instead, I love it. Stay as the breadstone. Yeah, Sandy.
Without planning it at all, my mind just grabbed on to some of the teachings that you just gave over earlier, and went into this pattern of an in-breath and an out-breath. And breathing in, it was, I can open. And breathing out, it was, I am part of God's creation. And it just went back and forth and back and forth in such a helpful way of, yes, I have some responsibility and some choice, but no, I really have very little control over most of it, and a sense of humility. And it was a nice practice. Thank you.
Beautiful. It's beautiful to hold on to the fact that what is it that we have control over? I can open, right? I have control. I have a choice in the moment. That's my participation. My choice is to say, there is more to this moment than what I perceive, and I open to it. And then once I do it, the rest takes care of itself. I'm part of this creation. It's wonderful. So the last thing that I'll share before we close is just that all of the rituals and symbols, we're coming into a holiday, Passover, that is probably one of the holidays that's most rich with symbols, and on our Seder table, on our plates, on all of those. And all of those, again, yes, we know that we do the rituals and say the blessings and break the matzah and do those things because it's what we do. We know that that's part of what the Seder is. But every time that we bring a kavanah or an intention to any of this, whether that intention is the matzah is about humility, right? Now the matzah has that. Now I'm not just eating matzah, but I'm interacting, I'm enacting a spiritual principle, right? That becomes another way that we reinforce that reality and that principle in our being, right? That's the whole point of the ritual. That's the whole point of the Seder. And it's very powerful. Like, we're going ahead and doing meditation here, which is the power of this is to say, okay, no other distractions. I'm just going to focus on humility, on presence. And that's so useful and helpful. The piece that communal ritual does is it says, if I bring the intention, the kavanah behind what I'm doing, it says now something very physical is now becomes, now grounds an idea that might be more abstract, this idea of humility. And so now there's power in grounding it in a physical way through the eating of matzah or the ritual, and doing it with other people. Right? There's something, just like we are sitting here together and are even on Zoom, our meditation on Tuesday mornings for many of us can become even more powerful than it is for us when we do it just on our own. And certainly when we do it in person, I'm going to say something about that in a moment, not even on Zoom, but in person at a meditation retreat or in a gathering, we even feel the depth of what we're doing together even stronger. Same thing with communal ritual, like Passover. It's all about making sure to be connected to the intention individually and communally of what it is that we're doing when we enact the ritual. Okay, so Maury, I'm sorry, I'm gonna ask your forgiveness because I want to make a couple announcements before we close off. So this week and next Tuesday, we're going to be focused on Passover themes in our Tuesday morning meditation here. Also want to let you know of two other meditative gatherings that are new. One is if you want to make it to Temple Bethel on Friday mornings, the next two Friday mornings, 9 a.m. in the adult library this Friday and the next one. We will be doing a brief, maybe 20 minutes of meditation together. Something that Sarah and Stephanie have been organizing that I will also be a part of. So that's just those are opportunities to be in person. After next week.
It's at 9
Sorry?
Friday mornings, the time.
9 a.m.
9 a.m.
9 a.m. So after this Tuesday, this next Tuesday, so today is, what's today? The 9th. So after the 16th is going to be our last Tuesday morning for 2 weeks. Okay. After the 16th, the 23rd, we will not have meditation here. It will be the first day of Passover, and you will have the option to come and join us in the chapel for a Passover morning service at 9:30. Or I've recorded both this and the next week. These teachings on Passover are going to be on our YouTube playlist, and they're recorded. If you want to go back to them, and if you have your Tuesday morning spot of meditation and you don't want to give it up, even though we're not gathering in person, you're welcome to tune in. It will also be the following week on the 30th, April 30th. There will be no Tuesday morning meditation because it's also the 8th day of Passover. However, in between that time, between April 30th, the end of Passover, and today, in addition to the 2 Friday mornings that I just talked about, there is also going to be Soul Spark Shabbat on Friday night, I think April 15th. Well, the 3rd Friday night, as usual. Jerusalem Shabbat, Saturday, that Saturday morning, which all have meditative aspects and will all be exploring mystical themes of Passover. And then in person, also at the JCC, the Mirage JCC in Irvine, Sunday, April, what would it be? The 21st? I think the 21st. Yeah, the 20th. I got the other dates wrong. But that weekend, the 18th, 19th, the 19th, 20th, and 21st. The Sunday, the 21st, is going to be at the JCC in person, 9:30 a.m. meditation. And finally, last bit, this are all going to be out, advertised in our temple information, but these are the meditative things coming up. in the week of Passover on Sunday, April 28th, at Ellen Prince's home. And you just have to RSVP to be able to do it. Chaim Lev, amazing teacher of Kabbalah and mind-body stuff from Portland, will be doing a morning with me on Kabbalah, on Passover, on the Omer period, and how to use that as a transformative process. Sunday morning, April 28th, there'll be a kosher for Passover brunch. So even though we're off 2 Tuesdays here coming up, there's going to be lots of opportunities to be together in meditative space. Any questions about events that are happening?
Well, you said it's all posted. It's all posted online.
Yes, or it will be.
Quite a feast.
Yes, it will be. Yes, it's all in the temple calendar, and then in different places it will be, it will be advertised coming out. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, and Chodesh Tov, happy Rosh Chodesh Nisan, and Happy New Year, according to the Torah. Today is the new year, and look forward to connecting with you all soon. Bye.
Thank you.